I'll lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
Dear Lord and Father, we come to you and we have many things to thank you for here in our borough. And one of them is the success of the Kodiak Island Trailways, their faithfulness to be working on weekends with everybody, the planning with the borough and the government, and for us to have a resource here for everybody to share. We thank you for that. We thank you for the legislatures having school funding for us. We don't know what we're going to get or where it's going to go, but it's a start. Thank you. We thank you when things are drying up for our schools, for the YMCA having a daycare after school and having something start here in Kodiak. So we thank you for that. And Lord, we just ask you to put on the minds that people are driving here. We had a young lady had a slight accident, and it's nice weather. People want to go fast. They want to get there, but where do you got to go in Kodiak that it doesn't take 5 minutes? So, Lord, just be with us, watch over and guide us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
We are gathered on the traditional homeland of the Supiaq-Alutiiq people, and we acknowledge the 10 tribes of the Kodiak-Alutiiq region. We recognize the Alutiiq culture that enriches our community to this day. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ames.
Here.
Mr. Griffin.
Here.
Mr. Johnson. Mr. Ledoux.
Here.
Mr. Sharrett.
Here.
Mr. Smiley. Mr. Whiteside.
Here.
Mayor Arndt.
Here.
You have a quorum.
We have an absence. Ryan?
Yeah, Mayor Arndt, I'd like to make a motion to excuse Assembly. I'd like to make a motion to excuse Assembly Member Johnson.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Ames.
Yes.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux.
Yes.
Mr. Sharrett.
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside.
No.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes with 4 yes, 1 no.
Next item is approval of agenda and consent agenda. Jared,
Move to approve the agenda and consent agenda.
is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux.
Yes.
Mr. Sharrett.
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside.
Yes.
Mr. Ames.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion carried 5-0.
For the public's information, the consent agenda consists of approval of the minutes of the special meeting of May 8th, 2025, and the regular meeting minutes of May 15th, 2025. Next item is citizens' comments. There are 2 designated citizens' comments period, one at the beginning of the meeting and the other towards the end of the meeting. These comment periods are intended for general comments as well as for agenda items that are not part of a public hearing. The Borough Assembly is legally limited in their ability to respond to citizens' comments during the meeting. Questions and requests from the public will be referred to the appropriate Borough Department. Comments for the public hearing will be heard during the hearings when that comes up. So if you are speaking on one of the public hearings, please wait until we get there. For those of you that might be calling in, the local phone number is 907-486-3231. Toll-free number 855-492-9202. And please turn off your radio or any other listening devices to prevent feedback. If you're in the audience, please come to the podium and sign in and turn on the microphone. Make sure the green light is on before speaking. and speak directly into the mic, please. State your name for the record. Address all remarks to the assembly as a body and not to any member thereof. Anybody in the audience wishing to speak under citizens' comments, please come forward at this time. Do we have any calls? Seeing none, we're going to move on to awards and presentations. The first thing is proclamation declaring Filipino American Heritage Month in Kodiak. This is from the Office of the Mayor, Kodiak Island Borough. It's proclamation declaring Filipino American Heritage Month in Kodiak. Whereas the Kodiak Island Borough is made up of a wonderful mosaic of cultural diverse people, and whereas Filipino Americans make vital contributions to the economic, social, political, and cultural quality of life in the community. And whereas June 12, 2025 marks the 127th anniversary of the Declaration of Filipino Independence, and whereas the momentous occasion provides an opportunity for all Filipino Americans to share their cultural heritage with people of all races, ethnicities, and nationalities. And whereas the momentous occasion is essential so that Filipino Americans can continue to reflect the shared values and manifest our joys in harvesting the fruits of such values. Now, therefore, I, Scott Arndt, Mayor of the Kodiak Island Borough, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2025 as Filipino American Heritage Month in Kodiak, and urge all citizens to participate in the festivities celebrating the rich heritage and traditions of the Philippine Islands. And we have Mark here, and there's Ruby Passion. Is she here or not? Oh, okay.
Thanks, Mark.
I made it short this time. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Borough Assembly members. On behalf of the Filipino American Association of Kodiak, we would like to express our heartfelt gratitude as we humbly accept this proclamation declaring the month of June as Filipino American Heritage Month. This recognition is significant to us as it highlights the contribution and the cultural heritage of the Filipino American community. We look forward to celebrating our rich history and fostering a deeper understanding and appreciation of our culture within the broader Kodiak community. Mr. Mayor, Borough Assembly members, thank you for your support and recognition. Mabuhay po kayo.
Thank you, Mark. The next one is a proclamation declaring June 8th through the 14th, 2025, Invasive Species Awareness Week. And from the Office of the Mayor of the Kodiak Island Borough, proclamation declaring June 8th through the 14th, 2025, Kodiak's Invasive Species Awareness Week. Whereas the Kodiak Island Borough includes terrestrial, freshwater, and marine ecosystems supporting native populations of wild plants, wildlife, and fish. And whereas our borough communities rely on cultivated crops, livestock, and bountiful subsistence resources for food security and cultural ways of life. And whereas the introduction and spread of harmful non-native invasive species can significantly damage or destroy these ecosystems, our economies, and traditions. And whereas an educated public is essential and highly effective for early detection and rapid response to control invasive species. And whereas the Kodiak Cooperative Invasive Species Management Area is seeking to strengthen and broaden its partnership and work cooperatively with stakeholders to protect the Kodiak Archipelago. And whereas by striving to prevent, direct, manage, and eradicate invasive plants and animals to safeguard Kodiak's unique and valuable resources, we will protect our Alaskan way of life and the subsistence resources and practices which have been a part of our archipelago's culture for millennia. Now therefore, I, Scott Arndt, Mayor of the Kodiak Island Borough, do hereby recognize June 8th through the 14th, 2025 as Invasive Species Awareness Week in Kodiak, and encourage all residents and visitors to learn more about the invasive species in our borough and directly contribute to maintaining and enhancing the intricacy and vitality of Kodiak's ecosystems, economies, and communities. And I have here Matt Van Dale and Masumi Peloff. Would you please come forward? Thank you guys for coming. Always a pleasure. Here you guys. Yes, Amy's. Good, I got the high ground.
Wait, I can't see the mayor. That was a joke, I really could see the mayor.
Yeah. Thanks, Amy.
Apologies to having to write down my name and number real quick. Yeah, Chamai, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Assembly members in Kodiak. Matt Van Dale with Shunak Tribe of Kodiak. And Koyana, thank you for this proclamation. It's very important, you know, invasive species, as we noted, are an extreme threat for Alaska, for the world, especially for our Kodiak way of life. And I do have good news on the crayfish front. We're having definitely having an impact. Our years are starting to pay off of keeping this going, but it really illustrates the importance of having community support and keeping this going. We have our first community crayfish derby coming up on June 21st. Fingers crossed. We actually have good weather. Don't want to advertise that we're going to do a community crayfish boil just because it's June, it's fog month. I mean, it might be nasty, but we'd still love to see people out there. But on another note, we're trying to figure out how and when these crayfish actually got into the Buskin. It's probably been about 2 decades or less when they showed up. As far as we're concerned, it's water under one of the Buskin bridges. About who put them there, but hopefully, you know, someone out there knows when they showed up and how they showed up and how many of them. And, you know, it's like we're not trying to have blame or anything, just send us an anonymous letter, because the more information that we have about when they showed up and how many of them is going to really help with our population monitoring and actually get into ascertaining how much of an impact we have and how much more effort we need to have of getting this population under control. And, but yeah, Koyana, again, thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I don't have too much to add on what Matt said, but I did want to highlight the invasive
Go ahead and
species.
state your name,
Oh,
please.
sorry. I'm from the Kodiak Soil and Water Conservation District. My name is Masumi Palhoff, and I'm the programs assistant. So I just wanted to remind everybody that even though you see orange hawkweed every day when you're driving through town, it's still not all over our trails, all over our mountains. If you see invasive species, when you're out recreating, we would still really like to hear about it. You can call our office at 907-486-5574. Find us on Facebook, find us on our website. However you want to get a hold of us, we want to hear about it. So thank you very much.
Masumi, thank you for coming forward on there. Next item is committee reports. Do we have any committee reports at this time? Seeing none, move on to public hearings. First public hearing we have is Assembly review of the State of Alaska Alcohol and Marijuana Control Office beverage dispensary license transfer of ownership application from Kodiak Rendezvous Incorporating, doing business as The Rendezvous, license number 26392, Rendezvous Roadhouse LLC. Jared.
Move to voice non-protest to the State of Alaska Alcohol and Marijuana Control Office, AMCO, transfer of ownership application from Kodiak Rendezvous Incorporated, doing business as The Rendezvous, license number 2639, to Rendezvous Roadhouse LLC, and direct the clerk to notify AMCO of this decision.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Staff report, Nova?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the Assembly. The Clerk's Office has reviewed the application in accordance to the Borough Code, and we have not received any protest from any of the departments. And we have also sent out public hearing notices. We have sent out 51 of them. We have received one which we distributed to the Mayor and Assembly, and it's in support of the transfer. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Any questions of staff? Okay. Seeing none at this time, I'll recess the regular meeting, open the public hearing. And for those of you that might wish to call in, the local number is 907-486-3231, and the toll-free number 855-492-9202. And I ask that you please turn off your radio and any other listening devices to prevent feedback. If you're in the audience here, please come to the podium and sign in. Turn on the microphone and speak directly into the mic. State your name for the record. Address any remarks to the Assembly as a body and not to any member thereof. Anybody wishing to come forward at this time, please do. Any phone calls? Hearing and seeing none. We will go ahead and close the public hearing, reconvene the Assembly meeting, Assembly discussion. Roll call vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Ledoux,
Yes.
Mr. Sharrett,
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside,
Yes.
Mr. Ames,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next public hearing is ordinance number FY 2025-17, an ordinance of the Assembly of the Kodiak Island Borough rezoning a portion of Tract E, U.S. Survey 4793 from R1 Single Family Residential District to Industrial District. Zoning will correspond to the lot created by abbreviated subdivision S25-7. Jared.
Move to adopt ordinance number FY 2025-17.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Staff report, Borough Manager Amy Williams.
Thank you, Borough Mayor Scott Arndt. Our first case tonight is this S25007. Assemblymember Smiley had asked for a larger copy of the map, which is located on the wall to the right. You'll notice that I made the numbers very large, so I could be less Vanna White tonight, so you can see which one we're talking about. So tonight, for this first one, we're talking about that top one. The Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on April 16th of 2025 on this proposed rezone and recommended 5-0 with 2 members absent to recommend approval of the rezone request from R1 Single Family Residential to I Industrial. 69 notices were mailed to surrounding property owners and no one spoke at the public hearing. The City of Old Harbor requested a rezone in conjunction with an abbreviated plat for a portion of U.S. Survey 4793, Tract E, case number S25-007. This approved abbreviated plat proposes the creation of Lot 1, which encompasses the area of the rezone request. Proposed Lot 1 will be .54 acres in size. The current zoning of the property is R1 Single Family Residential District, and the proposed zoning is I Industrial District. The current R1 does not permit seafood processing, therefore the City of Old Harbor has requested that the property be rezoned to I Industrial. Our Community Development Director, Chris French, is here tonight if you have any questions.
Any questions of staff at this time? Seeing none, I will recess the regular meeting, open the public hearing, and once again, the local number is 907-486-3231, toll-free number 855-492-9202. Please turn off your radio or any listening device to prevent feedback. And if you're in the room, please come to the podium, sign in, state your name for the record, address all remarks to the assembly as a body and not to a member thereof. I kind of mix it up a little bit. I get tired of reading the same thing all the time. And so with that, anybody wishing to call in or come forward at this time, please do. Do we have any phone calls? And we don't have anybody in the audience, so going to close the public hearing, reconvene the regular meeting, assembly discussion. Any discussion on this? Roll call vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Sherritt,
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside,
Yes.
Mr. Ames,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next public hearing is ordinance number FY 2025-18, an ordinance of the Assembly of the Kodiak Island Borough, rezoning a portion of U.S. Survey 4793, Tract E, from R1 Single Family Residential District to B Business. Zoning will correspond with the lot created by preliminary subdivision, case number S25-6. Jarrett.
Move to adopt ordinance number FY 2025-18.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Staff report, Amy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on this rezone request on April 16th, 2025. The commission voted 5-0 with 2 members absent to recommend approval of the rezone request to the Assembly. 69 adjoining property owner notices were mailed, and no one spoke at the public hearing. The City of Old Harbor requests a rezone in conjunction with a preliminary plat for a portion of U.S. Survey 4793, Tract E, Case S25006. The preliminary plat proposes the creation of Lot 1, which encompasses the area of this rezone request. Proposed Lot 1 will be 1.14 acres in size. The current zoning of the property is R1 Single Family Residential District, and the proposed zoning is B Business District. The rezone proposal has been requested to allow the existing building to be set back 15 feet from the proposed right-of-way of Tsunami Road. The current R1 zoning would require a 25-foot setback from the property line. The proposed zoning allows the uses proposed for the existing structure, government office for the City of Old Harbor and the Village of Old Harbor, and corporate offices for Old Harbor Native Corporation. The structure would also be used as the community's tsunami shelter. Again, our community development, Chris French, is here tonight if you have any questions.
Seeing none, at this time I'll go ahead and recess the regular meeting, open the public hearing. For those of you who wish to call in, once again, the phone number is 907-486-3231, and the toll-free number is 855-492-9202, and please turn off your radio to prevent feedback. If you're in the room, you know the drill. Anybody wishing to come forward, please do so at this time. Seeing no calls and no one coming forward, close the public hearing, reconvene the regular meeting, assembly discussion. Any discussion? Roll call vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Whiteside,
Yes.
Mr. Ames,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux,
Yes.
Mr. Sharrett.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next public hearing is ordinance number FY 2026-1, adopting the budget for the fiscal year 2026 and appropriating from all borough funds. Jared.
Move to adopt ordinance number FY 2026-01.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Staff report, Amy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is our annual budget ordinance that approves the budget for the fiscal year. The fiscal year 2026 borough budget is offered as a balanced budget, meaning that proposed expenditures do not exceed anticipated revenues and planned use to fund balance. After a line item review of the April 1st, 2025 version of the budget, the Assembly was given a summary of requested changes in a Level 2 version of the budget on May 15th, 2025. Level 2 summary sheets are attached to your packet tonight. This ordinance has been reviewed on May 8th during packet review for the regular meeting on May 15th, as an ordinance for introduction on May 15th, and in packet review again on May 29th in anticipation of tonight's meeting. Several changes were made to the solid waste fund to lower the budgeted operating costs for the fiscal year. The updated budget sheets are included in your packet for that. The ordinance has been updated twice with new information. The changes in blue that you see are from the Level 2 changes, and you'll see changes that are in purple that are a result of the Level 3 changes. If you're going to use that version with the Level 3, the clerk has labeled it on top as a version that we can use to substitute. The ordinance is required by Alaska Statute 2945.240 for the levy of taxes, is our next ordinance. These kind of go hand in hand. So this is basically the borough budget, and then next we will talk about levying the taxes to pay for said budget. So I have our finance director, Dora Cross, here in the audience tonight if you have questions.
Jared at this time, please.
Yes, move to amend ordinance number FY 2026-01 by substitution.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to amend the ordinance by substitution. Discussion? Bo.
Just no questions in mind. Just taking the opportunity to get this out in the open that our current spending trajectory is not going to be sustainable in the coming years, in the very near future. We need to be proactive in thinking about our discussions for next year. I think waiting till the final hour and going crisis mode is a poor approach to being fiscally responsible. So I would encourage folks to say things out loud that we know are happening behind the scenes. We know this isn't something that we can continue doing without discussing MAPTR and what that means for our budgets, which for those who aren't familiar, MAPTR is our tax cap. So to continue facilitating a larger or flat percentage ask for certain large budget items, we will have to entertain lifting the tax cap. So that needs to be said out loud. People need to understand that that's coming without us reducing what we're spending. So something for folks to keep in mind.
Any other discussion? Larry.
I think Assemblymember Bo said it well. We are going into a fiscal crisis. I think we need to start talking about it right away. Before the State Board of Education is a proposal to increase local support, reduce state support that would have a direct impact once again on borough funding, and we need to talk about those kinds of things instead of waiting till the last minute and then having a major crisis that will affect both borough governance and our school district.
Anyone else? At this time, I'd ask for a roll call vote on the motion to amend by substitute. That's after we get it on there. So it's a roll call vote on the motion to amend by substitution. Usually I'm the one trying to do that.
Mr. Ames,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux,
Yes.
Mr. Sherritt,
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes unanimously.
So at this time, I'd like to recess the regular meeting and open the public hearing. And for those that wish to call in, the local number is 907-486-3231. Toll-free number 855-492-9202. And please turn off your radio or any other listening devices to prevent feedback. And if you're in the room, come to the podium and sign in. Turn on the microphone, make sure the green light is on before speaking, and speak directly into the mic. State your name for the record and address all remarks to the assembly as a body and not to any member thereof. Anybody wishing to call in or speak in person, please do so at this time. Any phone calls? Hearing and seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, reconvene the regular meeting, assembly discussion. Jared?
So we're looking at, can we get an explanation? We received 3 sheets of paper, each one with a different mill rate. Since that determines the budget, I would like to talk about those and get some explanation. Yeah.
Amy?
Absolutely, thank you. I meant those to be for the next ordinance discussion, but I'll talk about them whenever you want, sir. So, in front of you tonight, and there's extra copies in the back of the room in case staff is curious. There are 3 mill rate scenarios ranging from 8.89 to 9.25, and basically the general fund in our budget stays the same throughout all of those. The thing that changes throughout the different mill rates is how much we put into Fund 469, and that's our facilities fund that we do projects out of. So at 9.25, as you can see, there is 537,000, almost 538,000. At 9.08, there is $212,925 that would go, and at 8.89, there is no money that would go into facilities maintenance. So that's the. I'd also like to point out that the first 2 mill rates maintain MAPTR, and I will go into a long explanation of why they think that that's important if you need. And then that 8.89 does not fulfill the MAPTR. So those were when we get into the next ordinance and we're setting the area-wide mill rate, those are just some numbers for you to consider. Of course, you can put anything in the middle, whatever you want to do. And so that just some just general parameters on if we keep MAPTR fulfilled or we drop lower and don't fill MAPTR all the way.
Ryan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Madam Manager, just want to make sure I understand this correctly. So at your proposal with the 8.89, that is putting no money into the facilities fund. However, we still have a substantial facilities fund balance. Is that correct?
Yes, we do. Absolutely.
And do you know what that balance is?
We have, I think, I don't have an exact number for you, but it's around 9 million. So yes, it is very healthy. We are still reconciling some projects in Fund 469, so I don't have an exact number for you, but we have an accountant working on that in a couple of weeks, so that will be coming shortly. Since I've been sitting here, the finance director has corrected me. That 8.89 is taking $150,000 out of the general fund in the Parks and Recs budget. So we took in order to get that low, 150 came out. We had 150,000 in there for contracted services and 150,000 in there for actual equipment. That was a recommendation that came from the Parks and Recs committee. And so in order to get to that 8.89, we took 150 out of that.
Right. Ryan?
I believe my discussion is for the next ordinance. However, since you asked for input, so I I appreciate Assemblymember Griffin's question about, this discussion, because I believe that with the way that we are sitting right now in our facilities fund and our monies that we have, that we need to also have a reprieve for our tax basis. So I am, we discuss it in this ordinance or the next one, I'm going to be requesting an 8.75 mill rate. So thank you.
Amy, where's the proper place to do that?
So the ordinance that we're on right now is just going to be the budget for the next fiscal year, which unless you're going to greatly change the mill rate and it's going to be really low. So this is the chicken and the egg conversation, Mr.
Right.
Mayor. If you are going to go to 875 and that means you're going to take money out of the general fund, I can't pass the general fund budget. So any time is good. I need both items to just be deliberated before we can pass. If you think that you're going to go down lower and we're going to take money out of the general fund, then we need to have the discussion on where that's going to come. Like, as I like to say, what's the opportunity cost? What are we taking out?
Right, and what I'm seeing is with the three of them, compromises potentially the 8.89 mill levy that takes approximately 212 out of facilities and 150 out of parks, leaves 150 in parks.
Yes, that is exactly what those sheets say. I think the assembly should have the conversation around MAPTR and if you want to try to maintain MAPTR or not, and what the effect is in the upcoming years if you don't.
Yeah. Either we approve reducing the budget now, or we end up going ahead with the next one and then coming back and reducing the budget.
That's a clerk question. If we approve the budget now and it's approved, can they immediately go back and change it?
I think the option that's available for you, if you want to do the other ordinance first, is to suspend the rules and just do the other one first.
What's the wishes of the assembly? Larry?
I would like to take the manager up on the offer to discuss the impact of MAPTR on whether we fund it to the full or we do not, because as I understand it, and forgive me if I'm mistaking it, if we don't fund it, then it will restrict what we can collect in taxes next year. And if that happens, then we're going to have less money for the school district, or we'll be forced to cut borough expenses even more. We'll be given that kind of choice. So it's sort of a de facto way to restrict the school district next year at a time when they can't even predict their finances for this year, much less what's coming next year. So I think that's a very, very dangerous thing to do for the future of quality schools in Kodiak.
Further discussion. Bo?
So are we, just I guess point of clarification, what are we talking about now? Are we talking about maybe suspending and discussing the mill rate, or are we going to continue with discussion for both?
Discussion for both.
Mr.
Nola.
Mayor, if you would like to process the second ordinance, the correct motion would be lay this ordinance on the table and pick it up later.
First, I'm trying to make sure they understand what this is proposing on there. It's a combination of living within a budget. It's not reducing the school appropriation on this, the discussion about lowering the mill rate at this point. But it establishes what's there. Oh, continue.
Well, I'll just go ahead and speak somewhat to both then. I remember discussion about the service districts and fiscal responsibility in their budget requests and not targeting their ask to preserve next year's fund balances or capacity. I agreed with that statement. I think that was a very logical way to approach the budget. This is an operating budget. This isn't preparing for next year. This is budgeting for the upcoming fiscal year only. I understand some comments, but I do agree with that statement that was made, is we're not budgeting and setting the mill rate for following years to preserve capacity. We're setting the budget and the mill rate to fund this upcoming fiscal year. That's responsible fiscal management. We're going to have constraints no matter which direction we go. This is the responsible way, in my opinion. So I agree with Mr. Sherritt's 8.75.
Let's see, Jared was next, and then Larry.
I just wanted to clarify our options. So with the, to maintain a 9.25 mill rate, we would need to make a decision now to eliminate MAPTR, correct?
No, so we could still, so 9.25 is our current mill rate. If we kept our current mill rate 9.25, we would be putting that $537,925 into the facilities fund. If we want to maintain MAPTR, the mill rate can go down to 9.08, which is on the back side of that same paper, and that would put the $212,925 into facilities maintenance. Once we take that money out to lower it to that 8.89 region, and then there's nothing in that Fund 469
Right.
line item,
Right.
then we're not fully funding MAPTR.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Uh,
So anything that is below 9.08 will not be fully funding MAPTR. That's the amount to fully fund MAPTR. Anything above that would be.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Larry.
Well, I agree, we are approving the budget and the mill rate for the coming fiscal year, but because it affects MAPTR, and MAPTR has a direct impact on next year's budget, to assume that that doesn't exist doesn't make any sense to me. And I would like the manager, if you will, for the sake of the public and perhaps the board, to explain how MAPTR can affect the following year's budget in terms of the school budget. How could it affect that?
Sure. Well,
Amy, go ahead.
Thank you. You did a very good job explaining what MAPTR was. So MAPTR stands for our max allowable property tax revenue, and the rule is that we cannot collect more in this fiscal year than we collected in the last fiscal year. There are some exceptions for new construction taxes we didn't collect the year before. There's a CPI allowance, and if there was like legal fees or something like that, that we could go back and collect for. So there are some exceptions, but what it's saying is that there is a certain amount that you can collect. I think the danger with the school funding and MAPTR is that our full determined value, which is how we just figure out how much the min and max is for the school district, is still going to continue to shift right next year because our assessed values have gone up. So as that window goes right and our taxed amount that we can collect is steady or going down depending on the mill rate that's picked, we're going to get an even larger ask next year with a smaller amount of tax revenue coming in. So I think it's dangerous just because there's so many variables. We don't understand if school bond debt will be paid again. We have decreasing fisheries severance taxes coming in. So there's a lot, it's kind of scary just because there's a lot of variables that we don't know about. So when it comes to school funding, as long as our assessed values go up, our window of what we can contribute will go up. And it just depends on what the school district asks and, of course, what the assembly votes on. But previously, when they were at odds with each other and a cut had to be made, it didn't come from the school budget. It came from the borough budget. I was on the assembly, we asked the manager to take $500,000 out of the budget. And we gave them like a week to do it. It didn't, because once the school budget is set and then we have cuts, it comes out of the borough. So I think the danger, and I have to point out, next year is a union negotiation year. And so if we don't have money to negotiate with the union, that's going to hurt us, so.
continued discussion. Jared?
Well, I'm in favor of meeting in the middle and maxing out the MAPTR limit at a 9.08 mill rate. I have a further amendment, I think, to make at a later time, but I just wanted to put it out there that I think 9.08 is a prudent way to go for now. I think it, like I said, meets in the middle, and keeps us within MAPTR at the most that we can. So
what I'm thinking is, Ryan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I can respect meeting in the middle. I can respect the 8.89, and I appreciate all the efforts that staff and the assembly has put into this. I have to say that because difficult times are coming for everyone across the entire state, it's more than just a school taxation base. It's everyone. And I fully agree that we need to do our best in due diligence for supporting the school. However, we also have a population base that we also represent in our constituents. So I just cannot support anything above a 9 mill rate. I could compromise to the 8.89. I just can't. Last year when we had this discussion, we almost were at 9, which would have put us at 8.75 now. So we just barely missed it, and so I just can't let this one go. And unfortunately, I apologize, but I think with the 3 options that are presented, I could compromise to sub 9. And that, I guess that's just where I'll leave that. Thank you.
Okay. Bo?
Thank you. And I appreciate that point, and all points made already. There's gonna be some loss. However, we do need to amortize that across the community, including slowing the loss and cost of living here. When we think about outmigration and the cost of living here, those go hand in hand to an extent. So the more these costs go up to live here, how do we honestly expect people to want to come here and promote growth in our community? You can't have it both ways. It doesn't work that way. We need to balance out our process and our way of thinking. It can't be so lopsided and siloed in one area of spending that we ignore everything else and contributing factors that lead to slow growth or stagnant growth. How is this community going to bounce back if we don't think about all sectors of the community? So we do have to have a balanced approach to this. I do appreciate the points. Perhaps 8.75 is a little too extreme in the other direction. I would be okay with 8.89, and that doesn't subtract from facilities maintenance, because again, without maintaining even though there's a healthy balance, we have some large expenditures coming there. We have roofs that need to be replaced, siding. We have the pool coming
repair.
up. We have the hospital coming up. We can't ignore all this and just think about one thing only. We have to be fiscally mindful of every sector of our economy. And so I could come up to 8.89, but I certainly won't go beyond that.
Okay. At this time, I think I would like to lay on the table this and move to the next item in order to establish the mill rate.
Mr. Mayor, you may want to ask for a motion.
Yes, I'm doing
Thank
that. So,
Thank you.
who wishes to make it?
I will.
Steve?
I'd like to make a motion to table this ordinance and continue with the next one, and then return back to this one. Thank you.
Is there a second?
second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux.
Yes.
Mr. Sharrett.
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside.
Yes?
Mr. Ames,
Yes.
would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, so let me see if I get this, I'm getting my papers tangled. 5-0. Okay, we got substitution of and this on the table. Going to the next public hearing, which is ordinance number FY 2026-2, receiving the 2025 certified real and personal property tax roll, levying ad valorem property taxes for tax year 2025, consisting of an area-wide tax, Woman's Bay Fire Protection Area tax, a Woman's Bay Road Service Area tax, a Bayview Road Service Area tax, a Fire Protection Area Number 1 tax, a Menashka Bay Road Service Area tax, a tax in Service Area Number 1 for roads, a Woodland Acres Street Lighting Service Area, a Service Area Number 2 tax, an Airport Fire Protection Service Area, a Trinity Island Street Lighting Service Area tax, and a tax in the Mission Lake Tidegate Service Area, levying commercial aircraft tax, providing for the collection of taxes due in 2025, and setting the date when taxes become delinquent. Jared.
Move to adopt ordinance number FY 2026-02.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Staff report. Amy, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is our annual ordinance that partners with our budget ordinance. The ordinance levies the ad valorem property taxes for tax year 2025. This ordinance has been reviewed on May 8th during our packet review for the May 15th regular meeting. May 15th, the ordinance for introduction is where we entered the taxable values to reflect the certified real and personal property rolls that were certified on May 7th, and on May 29th in packet review for the meeting tonight. You will see that everything in there is filled out except for section 2, the area-wide tax, which is at the bottom of page 1 of the ordinance, and that is that number that we're looking to fill. Once that is filled, the rest will just all fall into place. Finance director is here tonight in order to answer any questions, and once that number is decided, I just ask that we take a recess for a few minutes so we can go fill that in and make sure we have the numbers correct before we pass the next two ordinances.
Is it wishes of the assembly to have any discussion now, questions, or have the public hearing first? And I was thinking then we'd have the discussion. Is that okay? Okay, so at this time, I will recess the regular meeting, open the public hearing, and once again, if you wish to call in, the local number is 907-486-3231, toll-free number 855-492-9202. Please turn off your radio to prevent feedback. If you're in the room, please come forward to the podium and sign in. Turn on the microphone. Make sure the green light is on before speaking, and speak directly into the microphone. State your name for the record and address all remarks to the assembly as a body and not to a member thereof. At this time, I will recess the regular meeting, open the public hearing. If you wish to call in, please do so at this time. If you wish to speak in person here, please come forward at this time. No phone calls? No one coming forward. Close the public hearing, reconvene the regular meeting, assembly discussion. This would be the time to make a motion to put something in there. Jared.
Well, the very intention of MAPTR is to bind the Assembly's hands for the coming year. So I think we do need to think about that. So I will move to amend. Would it be line 50? To read for a total area-wide tax levy of 9.08 mils for the tax year 2025.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded Jared, discussion.
Nope, I think it's a starting point at least, so I thought I'd get us, at least get us there. Again, that, it just puts us at a better spot for next year's budget discussions than something less than 9. The lower we go, the more it restricts us. And the 9.08 it's statutory, it's, it's code. And I think it gets us what we need.
Okay. Discussion. Well, one thing I'd like to say is I'm hearing in the community and have for the last year that people's property taxes have gone up. The mill rate hasn't, but the assessed value has, and I'm hearing a bunch of people are hurting. And I agree with some of the statements that have been made in that we need to lower the cost of living here, and one of those big things is taxes, because I look at over a period of approximately 12 years, the take by the borough for the mill levy was basically $8 million out of the community. It is now $17 million out of the community. What this one does on the 9.08 leaves it at 17,343,000. What I'm seeing on the 8.89, it lowers it to $16,980,000 and $199. So I think we ought to go to the 8.89 for relief for the taxpayers. Discussion on the floor is 9.08. What's the wishes? Any further discussion? Roll call vote on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is to amend line 50 to change to state 9.08 mils for the tax year 2025. Okay. Mr. Ledoux,
Yes.
Mr. Sharrett,
No.
Mr. Whiteside,
No.
Mr. Ames,
No.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion failed with 3 noes, 2 yes.
Okay. Motion failed to amend. So we're back at the 9.25. Ryan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd make the same motion to line 50 to amend that to 8.89 on the mill rate and ask for discussion and a
Second.
vote on that. Thank you.
It's been moved and seconded. Ryan, you have the floor as a maker of the motion.
I think that we've discussed this, made my point clear. I think you further elaborated that point. By taking the 8.89, we are putting a little bit of money back in the community, and that is exactly my objective. So I think that's the discussion. I think we've discussed.
Any further discussion? Bo?
I agree. I think keeping some money in the pockets of the community, even if it's just a little bit, will make a difference. I understand we're going to have budget constraints in all areas, but I remind myself often that I'm here representing the community as a whole, and that's the reason I agree with Mr. Sherritt's mill rate.
Larry?
I think I also represent the community as a whole, but I am concerned about, like we've talked about before, and we even mentioned earlier in the meeting, that we have to do good fiscal planning for the future. We can't just think about what's happening right now and say the heck with the future. I certainly would like to lower the mill rate and to keep it as low as possible. It is true, it's hurting people, but But I also know that one of the primary characters or primary criteria that people use when they move into a community is, if they have kids, is what's the state of education. And I think we have to be aware of that. But I also know that there hasn't been any long-term discussions by the school district or the borough to come up with planning. And I think it's also fair to the public to know that while we spoke about MAPTR, next year the Borough Assembly could set MAPTR aside anytime they choose. It is almost smoke and mirrors, to tell you the truth. So if they wanted to, it won't really affect it, because the borough does have the ability. They're not bound by it. They can vote to remove it and set it aside and increase the mill rate, so the community's not protected that way. It is what it is. Next year, when we start talking about budgets, we'll have to think back about this decision tonight, whether it was a good or bad decision. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Jared?
Okay, just to clarify a couple of things. So, if we did approve an 8.89 mill rate, so there's 150 that comes out of the general fund. That's the Parks and Rec that you were talking about.
And the 312,000.
Oh, yes, in addition to the facilities.
212,
Yeah,
excuse me.
into addition to 469, yeah. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Okay. Bo?
Thank you. If I may, through the mayor, this is a question for the manager. So if we adopt 8.89, our budget will be fully funded for this fiscal year, including an increase of 663,000 for the school district, correct?
Yes, that decision was made already, so there's no changing that.
Just
So
meaning
that-
that's
right.
what we're looking at total,
Right.
everyone's whole.
Well,
yes.
not everyone. We
The
will
only-
be
the-
cutting the 212 and the 150. Go ahead, Amy. Sorry.
The mayor is correct, yes.
But just making sure we're clear that
Yes.
that decision was
So-
made, so they're funded, which is great.
The school district is fully
Yeah,
funded
but
with
at-
their ask, and then the only thing that this takes 150,000 out of Parks and Recs and puts no money in 469, which is the facilities fund, or facilities maintenance, and then does not fully fund MAPTR.
So just, if I may,
Go ahead.
just going back on one of my previous comments made months ago, is there's always a give and take. So the more you give in one area, you do have to sometimes realize loss in others. And so this is where we're at. That's the reality of it, is we are losing in other areas. I don't regret any decisions made up to this point, but this is what we're facing, and this is where the sting's being felt.
Any further discussion? Jared?
So, okay. I'm going to need some help with some math, perhaps, if this actually really affects anything. I was going to propose during the budget discussion to add in $30,000 for nonprofits. I can make the argument now or later. And so 15,000 in each, 15,000 in the health and social services and 15,000 in account 120. This is weird, right? Having these chicken and egg conversations. I can live with an 8.89 mill rate. But I'm wondering, so if there's 150 that will be taken out of Parks and Rec, is it possible to, oh gosh, how do I want to say this? Basically take 120 out of Parks and Rec and put that 30 into the nonprofit lines. That will give us a general fund, an operations fund of $1,214,357 instead of $1,184,000. How does that will that 30,000 affect the mill rate, 8.89 one way or the other? Well, it won't, I mean, there's only
So-
one way it would affect.
In order to get to the 8.89, we had to fully remove 150,000. And so if we only remove 120 and move 30, we're only taking 120 out. So we haven't, so the mill rate would be higher.
Can
So,
we estimate by how much?
so we would have to, if we
Go
were,
through the math.
well, when I do a
We'd have to take a
recess and I
break.
can look at that Excel spreadsheet, absolutely. Like that, 30,000 doesn't move it that much. It was $325,000 change
Right.
going from 9.25 to 9.08. So 30
So-
would be very minimal.
So
yes.
if it even changed it at all, but possibly maybe like 8.9,
Yes.
maybe.
Ryan,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I can actually support that. I also support nonprofit funding, and I would amend the motion to whatever that mill rate boils down to. And I actually think that it's like fractions.
Right.
Fractions
Yeah, you're
at
in the
30,000.
Thousands, yeah.
But I would defer that to the manager and the finance manager to determine what that is, and I would amend my motion to support that ask. So I just wanted to make sure that that was on the record as well.
And I would second that motion.
okay, so Ryan has made a motion to amend. Yeah, you can still do it. We got one amendment on the floor. You're allowed to have two.
We haven't voted on that first amendment,
Right, it's
the
being amended.
second amendment, or the first
First
amendment failed.
Right, and we
So
have a
now we do
motion.
have a motion that
for
is on the
9
floor for
8.89,
8.89,
right.
but we haven't voted on that yet.
We
So
don't
now
have-
we do have a second amendment, which is this one,
Right,
to increase it to whatever that amount comes out to
Correct.
be. Okay.
and that's allowed. So, Amy,
At this time, Mr. Mayor, I would recommend a recess so I can tell you what that new
Exactly.
amendment should be, so we can update. And this will change both of those ordinances because we're now changing the general fund and the mill rate. So, Dora, do you think 20 minutes is enough to figure that out? We would ask for 20 minutes, please.
at this time, we'll take a 20-minute break on there.
I know you want to do like 17 or something.
I wanted to do 15, but I'm giving you the 20. Thank you.
It's just my job to open the Diet Dr. Pepper. She does all the work.
Go do your job. Thank you. We're taking a recess for 20 minutes. go ahead and reconvene and the recess. Ryan, we're back in session, and the effect of what you and Jared are talking about is a mill levy of 8.91. And your amendment is to amend the amendment to 8.91. Are we all clear on that? Ryan, if you can come back on, appreciate it so we can see you. And wish to take a roll call vote on the amendment to amend. Yeah, probably should, because if he should have heard.
He might be on his phone this way.
Can you hear us, Ryan? Please acknowledge.
I sent him a picture, 2 minutes ago of this last sheet.
Ah, there he is.
Okay, you're back. Okay. I'm not sure if you heard us, Ryan, but the effect of what you and Jared was talking for your amendment is a mill levy of 8.91 to accomplish that 30,000 transfer. So just making sure everybody's on board with that and looking to take a roll call vote on the motion to amend the amendment. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ledoux,
Yes.
Mr. Sharrett,
Mr. Sherritt?
Thumbs up. Need you to vote, please.
we can't hear you.
Thumbs up is yes.
We can't hear you, Ryan.
We can't hear you.
Oh, no, another thing to worry about.
Okay, we're in the roll call vote, Ryan, and it's your vote. Okay. Yes, for 1 minute. 1 moment, anyway.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. Thank you. And it is your turn to vote. Yes or no?
We're going to ask him if he heard what we're voting on.
I did not hear what we're voting on. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
we're voting on your and Jared's amendment to move the 30,000 and establish a mill rate of 8.91. That's
Thank you. I vote yes. Thank you.
okay.
Mr. Whiteside,
Yes.
Mr. Ames,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, so now we have the amendment as amended to the 8.91, and we know where the money's moving around to. Roll call vote on the amendment, please,
Mr.
as
Sharrett.
amended.
Mr. Sharrett,
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside,
Yes.
Mr. Ames,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes unanimously, 5-0.
Okay, now we have the main motion before us, which establishes the mill rate and the area-wide at 8.91. That was the only change that we made to it. Any further discussion? Jared?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I had a question last time about the differences between the Service Area Board and Fire Protection Board budgets and the amount that's levied here in the ordinance, and I appreciate the explanation. I'm wondering if it's okay
Sure,
with the
go right
mayor,
ahead.
if the manager could walk us through why those numbers are different.
Absolutely. When the service areas create their budget, those budgets are due by March 31st into the borough, so they can be included in the April 1st version of the manager's budget when level 1 comes out. We do not have a certified roll yet at that point, so they are making those budgets based off of the current year or previous fiscal year's numbers. And so once we actually get that certified roll in there, that ordinance is updated with the certified roll numbers. But the roll doesn't get certified until May 7th, and I think we started looking at packet review on May 8th. So there's just not time for them to go back and update the budgets in a public, and have public meetings to do so. So the budget sheets will reflect the previous year's numbers, but the ordinance reflects the money that will actually come in.
Which shows it as the actual money received.
Right. And maybe this is for the mayor. So what do service area and fire service boards typically do when that levy is higher than their budget? What do they do with that?
It's a contingency.
Okay, thank you.
You're
That was
welcome.
it.
Okay. Any further discussion on the main motion as amended? Roll call vote on the main motion as amended.
Mr. Whiteside.
Yes.
Mr. Ames.
Yes.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux.
Yes.
Mr. Sharrett.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion carries, 5 yes, 0 no.
Thank you all. Now we'll go back to what we laid on the table, which is the ordinance number 2026-1, as amended by substitution, and we are inserting, staff knows what that did, previous amended motion did to establish.
Mr.
this.
Mayor, could we have a motion to take it from the table, please?
Okay, if you'd like one. Jared.
Move to take ordinance FY 2026-01 from the table.
Correct.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Ames.
Yes.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux.
Yes.
Mr. Sharrett.
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion carries, 5-0.
Okay, so I'd like to say we have the main motion as amended by substitution before us with the mill rate. Jared.
So I'd like to move to amend the amendment in section 2, Fund and Department 100-172 Parks and Recreation, to include the amount $200,103 from the original is $350,103. To change 192-1110 nonprofit health and social services from 85,000 to 100,000, and to change 192-120 nonprofit education, culture, and recreation, also from 85,000 to 100,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded 3 times. Further discussion, Jared?
Nope, we talked about
We're
it
good.
last time. I think we're good.
Okay. Roll call vote on the motion to amend.
Mr. Ames.
Yes.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux.
Yes.
Mr. Sharrett.
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion carried, 5-0.
Okay, you now have the main motion as amended by substitution and the latest amendment. Any further discussion? Roll call vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux,
Yes.
Mr. Sharrett,
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside.
Yes.
Mr. Ames.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes, 5 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. Next item we have is Borough Manager's Report. Amy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Red Cross is going to start their new lease at our previous projects office location on July 1st, and staff is getting that space ready for them. The North Star Elementary School Facilities Group met on June 3rd. There was a proposed 3-year plan in which the school would stay in possession of the borough, but the borough would have some assistance in taking care of utilities and janitorial, and we're still working out who the partners in that would be, but it would either be the school district and the borough or the school district, the city, and the borough. And so the group seemed to favor a slow roll approach into making any decisions that would alter that building in any way that it couldn't be used as a school. I think 2 assembly members were there, so if you have more to add on that, please do. Mayor Art and I met with Nate Root, who is the YMCA CO, about potential interest in North Star Building and when that might happen. And he also met with several other stakeholders that use the North Star Gym while he was here. Our Hospital Facilities Advisory Board is scheduled to restart on June 3rd, 2025, and I've listed out our current recruitments there. In community development, Plan 2045 has online exercises for land use and housing. There's 4 available, and they're going to remain open as we add transportation and community facilities going live later this month. There is a link there that takes you to Plan 2045, and if you scroll down, you'll get to all 4 of those exercises. The Planning and Zoning Commission will be having a work session on June 11th here in the Assembly Chambers at 6:30. In finance, for the delinquent 2023 property taxes, that foreclosure process is in its final stage. Property owners have until July 7th to redeem their property before the borough files a petition with the courts to acquire a clerk's deed. At this point, payments for these properties can only be made by cash, cashier's check, or money orders. Please contact the finance department for payoff amounts. Our property assessment and taxation implementation project is up to 25%. I celebrate every percent that it moves. In assessing, we have our Lutig Foundation exemption appeal that is scheduled for July 17th. You'll be reserving your informational books by July 7th. And we have our senior citizens, disabled veterans, good cause hearings scheduled for August 21st, 2025. In engineering and facilities, the borough has received a resignation letter from our environmental specialist / landfill supervisor. And we want to thank Jenna for her 6 years of service and wish her the best in her future endeavors. She's been an excellent employee, and we're going to miss her a lot. Over at the mental health buildings, there were requests for assembly members to tour those. Those are ready. If you're interested, please let us know and we'll get you over there. At the KFRC, we had over 100 people on Tuesday to the touch tank. We had a pretty large cruise ship in, and a lot of folks made it up that way. Our industrial Pump Alaska order for KFRC is approximately 19 weeks out. We don't have any movement on the GSA items, but Dora actually got a human contact email back from GSA.
Fantastic.
I feel like we should all celebrate. It was from a different GSA region, and they let us know that there is someone getting our emails. They just don't know who's really going to be responsible for our accounts. They don't have anyone assigned to our region right now, but they thanked us for our patience, and I think she phrased it as we're going through a bit of a reorganization, and I think that's probably a little bit of an understatement. But they are alive and kicking, and so hopefully we'll get answers on those projects soon. Out at the leachate treatment plant, a reseeding of the plant occurred last week. No movement on any information about the Carlick USTs yet. And in information technology, the IT has been working on refining patch processes, completing ongoing software configurations of the leachate treatment plant, and hardware upgrades and deployments. They are slowly phasing in new computers. Instead of doing them all at once, we do a few every year just to keep the costs at a respectable level. And they are also putting mapping onto iPads for the assessing department for their field work. Assessing, a couple of people go out on their first helicopter ride and they're going to be out all day tomorrow. So hopefully the weather cooperates for them. Outside of that, I don't have much to add tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions of the manager at this time? Bo?
Thank you. I was just curious if we had an update on that, I don't know if it's software or service, I guess it's a combination of the two for identifying and monitoring short-term rentals.
Well, I have looked at the software, and it's great. It is not in the budget that we just passed, but it could be added at any time. It would just come out of a department that was running it instead of IT. So I have asked the city to consider paying for half of that. It's a $15,000 a year investment, so we just need to make the value decision if it's worth spending that much money for that information or not. And if the city decides, obviously that knocks it down to $7,500, so it makes it a little bit of an easier decision, I think.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to messages from the Borough Mayor. Working on a letter for the Essential Air Service to get something on the docket with Congress. We have spoken, Amy and I have spoken with our senators and representative, but we have nothing on the legal docket. So the idea is to get that on. And Amy was working on that, but we've been very busy. So we have input from a couple other people. She's accumulating that and will be getting with you guys, but I'm looking for approval to send a letter that is signed by the mayor for the Essential Air Service. So you will go over that, but I'm hoping you guys will favorably pass upon that. The deadline is for us to have it in by June 12th, and Ryan's thumbs up on there too. Thank you on that. So I think you have consensus, Amy. Next item is new business. We have contract number FY 2025-57, Regional Solid Waste Management Plan. Jared.
Oh, we're back. Here we go. Move to authorize the Borough Manager to award contract number FY 2025-57 to Jacobs Engineering for the Regional Solid Waste Management Plan update.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Staff report, Amy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A resolution was issued by the Assembly authorizing the manager to execute a grant agreement with the Denali Commission for the purpose of updating the Kodiak Island Borough Solid Waste Management Plan and related regional planning activities, and was adopted on November 14th, 2024. Staff issued a request for proposals on February 21st. Staff advertised the designated 3 weeks per KAB Code 3.30.040, and bids were due by March 26, 2025. Staff received 5 submissions. The proposal review and evaluation process was completed by a committee composed of staff from both the Borough and Kodiak Area Native Association and included a member from the Solid Waste Advisory Board. Committee members were selected for their relevant expertise and their ability to assess the evaluation criteria outlined in the RFP. This evaluation marked the initial phase of the selection process. In accordance with item D of the evaluation and selection section of the RFP, KIB conducted interviews with the shortlisted firms based on the results of proposal evaluations. A short list of 2 firms were selected for further consideration, including reference checks and interviews. KIB used the interview process to clarify requirements, ensure mutual understanding, and obtain final and best offers as permitted under the code. The Evaluation Committee recommends that Jacobs Engineering be awarded the contract for the Solid Waste Management Plan update, and Jenna is here tonight if you have any questions about the plan.
Jenna, since this is probably the last meeting you attend, I'd like just a quick synopsis of it, please.
So we have some older solid waste management plans with the Denali Commission. They're looking at regional planning. So we partnered with CANA for the grant, and they are doing a mentorship that includes us. And we were doing a plan to look at the whole island, checking out our operations, how the citizens, we're going to hopefully do a survey to kind of see what the citizens here think of our landfill operations and our recycling and things like that, and what the future of landfilling looks like. It'll help hopefully lead the assembly on what direction we would like to go. We also brought this to the Solid Waste Advisory Board to give them a review. I know you guys want their involvement a little bit more. So they brought this to the SWAB, and they supported the decision that was made by the committee to award Jacobs this contract.
Any questions of Jenna at this time? Seeing none, thank you very much, Jenna. Discussion by the Assembly. Any comments? Roll call vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Ledoux,
Yes.
Mr. Sharrett,
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside,
Yes.
Mr. Ames,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes 5-0.
Next contract we have is FY 2025-58, Woman's Bay Road Service Area Contract with Brecken Construction, LLC. Jared.
Move to authorize the Borough Manager to execute contract number FY 2025-58 for Women's Bay Service Area Contract with Brecken Construction, LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Staff report, Amy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All existing road service area contracts have expired. In alignment with my direction, staff was tasked with working collaboratively with each road service area board to develop updated contracts. This process ensured that all agreements are current, follow the law, are clearly defined, and tailored to meet the evolving needs of each service area. Staff issued an invitation to bid for this contract on April 11th, 2025, advertised for the designated 3 weeks per KIB code, and bids were due on May 14th, 2025. There was a mandatory pre-bid meeting held on April 30th, 2025, and there were 3 contractors in attendance. At the bid opening, staff received 3 bid packages, only 2 of which were deemed responsive. Following the review of the bid package, staff determined AIM Maintenance LLC as the lowest cost responsible bidder. However, on May 16th, AIM Maintenance LLC notified staff in writing that they will be declining acceptance of the contract for Women's Bay Service District. In lieu of this notice, staff reached out to the next lowest responsive bidder, Brecken Construction LLC, and they are willing to conduct the work as a bid. We have our project manager, Cody Allen, here tonight if you have any questions about the road service area contracts.
Any questions? Seeing none, I would just give that Service District 1 met last night and recommended unanimously to the Assembly to approve the contract for AIM Maintenance, which is the next one. Roll call vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Sharrett,
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside,
Yes.
Mr. Ames,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Next is contract number FY 2025-59, Service Area Number 1 Road Service Area Contract with AIM Maintenance LLC. Jared.
Move to authorize the Borough Manager to execute contract number FY 2025-59 for Service Area Number 1 Road Service Area Contract with AIM Maintenance LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Staff report, Amy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For each of the next 3, it matches the exact staff report from the last one, except AIM Maintenance was the lowest cost responsible bidder, and the staff recommends award to them for each of the next 3. Would you like me to go through the dates for each of the next 3 contracts?
No.
Okay. Again, Project Manager Allen is here tonight if you do have any questions.
Anyone have any questions? Roll call vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Whiteside,
Yes.
Mr. Ames,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux,
Yes.
Mr. Sharrett.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes 5-0.
Next is contract number 2025-60, Menasha Bay Road Service Area Contract with AIM Maintenance LLC. Jared.
Move to authorize the Borough Manager to execute contract number FY 2025-60 for Menasha Bay Road Service Area Contract with AIM Maintenance LLC.
Second.
And the staff report is, she said, is the same. Rather than read it all over again, any discussion or questions? Roll call vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Ames,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux,
Yes.
Mr. Sharrett,
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion carries 5-0.
All right, next contract, FY 2025-61 Bayview Road Service Area Contract with AIM Maintenance LLC. Jared.
Move to authorize the Borough Manager to execute contract number FY 2025-61 for Bayview Road Service Area Contract with AIM Maintenance LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Staff report is exactly the same. Any questions by the Assembly? Seeing none, roll call vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux,
Yes.
Mr. Sharrett,
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside,
Yes.
Mr. Ames.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion carries 5-0.
All right, next is resolutions. Resolution number FY 2026-2, reestablishing the fees of the Kodiak Island Borough. Jared.
Move to adopt resolution number FY 2026-02.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Staff report, Amy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. KAB Code 3.10.190 ordains that all fees be reviewed on an annual basis. Staff has compiled a list of recommended changes to the current fee schedule for fiscal year 2026 as shown in the attached packet tonight. You'll see that there are changes removing the rental option for Bayside Fire Station Community Training Center, a fee change for Borough Code of Ordinances, the clerks updating that they don't offer certain types of media anymore, removal of non-applicable fees in borough records, fee charge changes in general services, and fee changes in the solid waste collection and disposal fees. Our Engineering and Facilities Director and Landfill Supervisor are both here tonight. I know last week at the work session, we showed some information about how those fund balances were declining significantly. And so that's why there is a proposed increase to the landfill per ton rate. And I'm sure that if you have questions, we have the answers for you in the room tonight. Thank you.
I'd like to have them come forward and give us a little discussion on the increases and how we got here. Please.
Before we do that, just a quick point of order, if I may. This was my mistake. I did not catch this. Ordinance. Oh no, never mind.
We're okay.
We're okay.
Thank you. Bar that interruption. Please proceed.
Over the last multiple years, the rates at the landfill have remained the same since prior to COVID. There was an effort to not put a burden on the ratepayers. We have completed a number of large tasks. Although the cash is down, we have to remember that we have 8 or 9 years of shot rock that we developed. And in addition to developing that shot rock, we have increased the size of the floor space that's available for construction and demolition. So although all of this was done at our request, but with the approval of this or previous assemblies. So we knew what we were doing. We made major attempts to reduce the amount of treated leachate by doing temporary closure and closure on the sides of the landfills, which are required, therefore turning that water towards stormwater. So although we have decreased, we also never really utilize the entire budget. Those guys are pretty amazing. They will pull grinders out of the waste stream and use the grinders till they die. So this is not a reflection on the staff by any means. This is a reflection on regulations, trying to keep complying with regulations, trying to stay ahead of some of this. We've also, in the last 10 years, developed and installed a leachate treatment plant, which we never had before. The leachate treatment plant does not generate money, it eats money, is the bottom line. And we're stuck with that plant probably for the next 20 or 30 years at a minimum. What I would say is we have pared back, and I'll give Jenna credit because I was not here. Jenna and the manager have gone and pared back this budget. I had asked for a couple of dump trucks. Well, when we looked at what the bottom line is, being fiscally responsible, we pared back on the budget that we're presenting. These requests are to cover the cost of doing business at the landfill. And it has become more and more challenging as well because of our impromptu reuse sites, let's call them. On a daily basis, 5 days a week, when I come to work, I go to 2 dumpster sites in Bells Flats. I load junk in the back of my truck. I'm of the theory that if you are throwing it at a dumpster, it's time, you don't want it anymore. Get rid of it. It costs us a huge amount of labor to process all of this material that does not go into the landfill. I would request that all of you, and I realize this will be after the vote, but all of you take a ride this weekend and go over to the Dark Lake dumpster area and look at the mess that's over there. And unless we're staffed and whatnot, it costs us money. So we're actually using monies that are designated for other funds, and our maintenance mechanics are actually out to pick up because at the moment we cannot hire laborers. So all of this adds up, and the rates need to go up to pay for what the cost of the service is. Thank you.
One thing I would ask is explain for the public what this does for rates on garbage for residential and commercial.
Well, as it's proposed, we're looking at going from, and I'm sorry, this paper was so small, 365 to 400 a ton. So it's a significant increase. So what we're asking for is the 400. So the residential rate would go up to 51.26
From
47. And 353.39 for a 2-yard commercial dumpster from $332.
Okay.
So basically a $20 increase.
Thank you for the public there. Jenna?
I will add one thing. So we also have the operation costs. We also have loan and bond payments, so that total around $1 million. So it's not just the operating cost of the landfill, then we also add another $1 million in.
Debt service.
Yep. So the sheet that I showed you guys last week just showed those operating costs, which range from $2.5 to $4.5 million. And then we have to add another $1 million on that for that the actual cost to operate the landfill.
Thank you for that. For the public, I felt we needed to get that out there. Any further questions by the Assembly? Seeing none, roll call vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Ledoux?
Yes.
Mr. Sharrett?
Yes.
Mr. Whiteside?
Yes.
Mr. Ames?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Next item is the citizens' comments again. And local number is 907-486-3231, toll-free number 855-492-9202. Please turn off your radio when you call in, please. And everybody knows the drill for coming forward in the assembly chambers here to the podium, and seeing no public. Any phone calls? No phone calls. We will move on to assembly member comments. Larry.
I'd just like to thank the staff and our manager and our finance director for all the work that they did preparing the budget process. I know it was a lot of work and a lot of probably anguish. And I appreciate all the work that you've done. I think we've got a budget that we all can live with. Thank you.
All right, Steve.
Yeah, thanks staff for all the work they put into the budget. And I'm pleased that the Assembly could come to an agreement with a minimal difference of opinion and come to a compromise and work things out. That's how it should work.
Thank you. Jared.
Yeah, just to echo what Larry and Steve just said about the manager and the staff. helping us through the budget process. The you'll see when taxes go down or taxes stay stagnant, and then they go down because of inflation. You should expect to see fees go up, like we just voted on. The landfill is a really good example of that. There's so much that needs to be done to, even for basic services, those costs don't go down, and so we have to increase fees to support those basic services. So you've always got to balance that, so yeah, so that I'm glad we did that. It needed to be done anyway. I really appreciate the hyperlinks in the agenda memos. When they link to code or to previous resolutions for context, all the time I can see us up here searching up codes when they're referenced, having them hyperlinked in there. Oh, muy bueno. That saves a lot of time. I appreciate the Assembly's support for increasing the nonprofit line items. They're one of the pillars of our community. Kodiak has the highest number of nonprofits per capita than anywhere else in the United States. And so that just speaks to they are a part of our fabric, and they offer services for free, and they are getting chopped off at the knees by the federal government support, their grant support, state government and grant support also. And they are, so far. But we'll be having that conversation much more over the next couple of months. So I just want to show my appreciation for that support there. Enjoy the sun. Hold on. I will be gone taking a few of our Shakespeares to the national tournament in just a couple of weeks. So we're really stoked for that. And good luck to softball and baseball, correct? I know softball for sure, but I think baseball did well too. Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you, Jared. Poe.
Thank you. I will pile on the gratitude and kudos for the manager and her staff for preparing the budget and navigating all the complexities, and clerks for keeping us in line all the time. We're always all over the place, so that's a lot of chaos. I just want to remind folks is now is not really the time to rest. We have a little bit of a break in meetings, but we really do need to start thinking about what next year looks like now. I don't think we should start having the difficult discussions 8 months from now. I think we should start discussing those as soon as possible, because the reality is going to be painful. A lot of people are going to be affected by our decisions, so we should get those on the table sooner than later. Thank you, Jenna, for your service to our community. You're incredible. I love your innovation and your ideas. I certainly will miss those. We hope to see you around, but our community's better off for having you than not.
Thank you, Jared. Ryan.
Thank you. I'm going to echo what Bo said. The only thing that I really want to discuss tonight is what a significant loss the borough has with Jenna's departure. I can't probably put the words together enough to speak to Jenna's professionalism, her talent, intellect, and all of the contributions that she's brought to the borough. I can tell you that my time on this assembly has been comforted because Jenna's involvement, and the borough is going to feel the repercussions from this loss for a while. So Jenna, you will be tremendously missed. You are incredibly talented, and wherever you go is going to be an amazing place from it. So outside of that, appreciate the remote connectivity for being the first one after the ordinance passed. So trailblazing. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Ryan. A few announcements. All borough offices and facilities will be closed to the public on Thursday, June 19th, 2025, in observance of the Juneteenth holiday. The next Assembly work session is scheduled on Thursday, June 26th at 6:30 p.m. The next Assembly regular meeting is scheduled on Thursday, July 3rd at 6:30 PM in the Borough Assembly Chamber. And at this time, we'll move into discussion of going into executive session, and this is in regards to the Borough Clerk's performance evaluation. Jared.
Move to convene into executive session under the authority of KIBC 2.30.030F1C to discuss the Borough Clerk performance evaluation, a subject that qualifies for executive session as a matter that may tend to prejudice the character or reputation of any person.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Whiteside.
Yes.
Mr. Ames.
Yes.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Mr. Ledoux.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes 4-0. We.
Yeah, you can't be in an
That's fine.
executive session.
That's right.
Fortunately, we
Thank
still
you.
have 4.
Thanks, Ryan.
So, Jared,
Move to invite the mayor and assembly members into executive session. Clerk Javier is going to be invited in at a later time.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. Voice vote. All in favor, say aye.